Hello, welcome to the lunch edition of MBC News, and you are with me, Evelis Chingambe. Coming up this afternoon, heavy rains cut off M1 road between Charoloma and Nkhani in Kasungu, making the stretch impassable for motorists. Downy mildew disease hits parts of Blantyre and Machinga districts' maize fields. And Malawi registers 2 new confirmed mpox cases despite a recent vaccination campaign. Thank you for joining us. Now the news in detail. Heavy rains have cut off M1 road between Charoloma and Nkhani in Kasungu, making the stretch impassable for motorists. The development has been confirmed by police spokesperson for Central East Region, Estankwanda, and communication specialist for contractors motor angel, Thomas Chafunya. Latest reports indicate 2 bridges have been washed away at Mpasazi near Charoloma and Nkhani Bridge near the trading center. The police are therefore warning the public to take precautionary measures to avoid accidents along this road. Meanwhile, Motor Angel in a statement says they have mobilized personnel to the site at Mpasazi to create an alternative route for motorists stranded on either side. There are also reports indicating that Kaumbe River in Kotakota has swelled temporarily, closing the M5 road. Three people have died and 41 others have been injured following devastating rains experienced in some parts of the country from the 22nd to the 28th of this month. A statement from the Department of Disaster Management Affairs, DODMA, says a total of 7,205 households, which is approximately 32,422 people, have been affected by disasters. Currently, DODMA is reaching out to the affected with food and non-food items, including plastic sheets for temporary roofing. The statement further says local search and rescue operations are being conducted in Sanje and Kotakota districts. Meanwhile, the department has made standby arrangements for the deployment of a national search and rescue team comprising the Malawi Defense Force, the Malawi Police Service, the Marine Department, and the Malawi Red Cross Society. The affected district councils are Blantyre, Chiwawa, Chitipa, Dedza, Dowa, Karonga, Lilongwe City, Lilongwe District, Mulanje, Nkata Bay, Nkotakota, Nsanje, and Salima. Heavy rains have demolished houses and destroyed property worth millions in Sanje North. Meanwhile, parliamentarian for the area, Francis Foley, who is also Deputy Minister of Education, has appealed for humanitarian support for the affected households. We have a report by Barbara Mandira.
Persistent rains have hit Sanje North hard, leaving hundreds destitute. The heavy downpour has demolished the houses and property worth millions of kwacha in the areas of Jaenda, Chitseko, Adam Lanchi, Nyaeka, and Nsambo. Parliamentarian for the area, Francis Foley, who is also Deputy Minister of Education, has since appealed for humanitarian support for the affected households.
As a member of parliament for this area, I came after I had calls from the traditional authority and the other chiefs saying the rains that have come here have caused a great havoc to our area. So I came to just appreciate the situation on my own, and really indeed I've seen that the rains have really caused a very great havoc. As you've seen here, we have over 300 people that are staying in the school. This only shows to say the rains that we had were really very, very havoc and disturbing. So as a member of parliament, I've liaised with our friends from Dodima who have promised us that they are coming here tomorrow to make sure that the people that have been displaced by the rains are well and fully supported.
Meanwhile, Foley has employed affected people to relocate to safer places and construct disaster-resilient houses.
A governance expert, Mavuto Bamusi, has described the establishment of a fertilizer manufacturing company by businessman Napoleon Dzombe as commendable, citing numerous socio-economic benefits to Malawi. Bamusi says apart from addressing persistent fertilizer supply challenges, the new company will help the country save forex currently spent on importing fertilizer. His remarks followed revelations by Dzombe that the fertilizer manufacturing plant is expected to commence production early next year. Isaac Jali reports.
News that a fertilizer manufacturing plant being established by businessman Napoleon Dzombe is set to commence production by April 2026 has generated excitement among stakeholders. Napoleon Dzombe says the plant has the capacity to produce 40 metric tons of fertilizer per hour, a volume he notes is sufficient to meet Malawi's national demand for NPK fertilizer within 150 days. He adds that installation of machinery at the plant is complete, while roofing works are expected to be finalized by the end of January 2026. Dzombe says the decision to invest in local fertilizer production was driven by the need to reduce the country's heavy reliance on imported fertilizer, cut import costs, and address recurring shortages on the local market.
Malawi's economy is a agro-based economy. So as we depend on agriculture, I thought it wise to come up with a processing plant for fertilizer. You know, no farmer can be successful without fertilizer. So if a farmer fails, it means agriculture has failed. So being an agro-based economy, it means the whole economy of Malawi also fails. So how can we improve such a situation? That's when I came up with an idea of building a processing plant for fertilizer so that we could ease the scarcity of fertilizer on the market. The fertilizer company, it's sizable. Yeah, it will be producing, or may I say processing, about 30 to 40 tons of fertilizer per hour, which means if we can have 2 shifts of production a day, then we can meet the needs of NPK for the whole country in 150 days.
Commenting on the development, governance expert Mavuto Bamusi has described the initiative as a game changer for Malawi's agricultural sector, saying it has the potential to boost productivity and enhance exports. Mavuto Bamusi adds that the investment aligns well with the Democratic Progressive Party DPP manifesto, which prioritizes industrialization as a pathway to transform Malawi into a middle-income economy.
The news about establishment of a fertilizer manufacturing company by businessman Napoleon Dzombe is good news. First is the fact that Malawi spends a lot of money in terms of forex to buy fertilizer from abroad. And therefore, the establishment of this company as a local fertilizer manufacturing industry will help Malawi to save the forex, which can then be used in other critical areas of the economy. Next is the fact that this local fertilizer manufacturing company will help to boost exports for a country which relies very much on agriculture. The initiative by Napoleon Dzombe is actually fulfillment of the promise that President Professor Arthur Peter Mutharika made in the manifesto of the Democratic Progressive Party. So the DPP manifesto emphasizes on industrialization and boosting the manufacturing sector.
Meanwhile, Dzombe says the company has already secured agreement with the South African partners to supply raw materials once production begins. Isaac Jali, MBC, Lilongwe.
The Ministry of Agriculture, Irrigation and Water Development has announced an outbreak of downy mildew disease affecting maize crops in some parts of the country, with Blantyre and Machinga Agricultural Development Divisions, ADDs, the most affected. Public Relations Officer in the Ministry, Salome Gangire, has disclosed that so far, over 7,000 hectares of crops belonging to 29,750 farmers under Blantyre ADD have been affected. The ministry is currently assessing the impact of the disease in Zomba district. Meanwhile, the ministry has embarked on a sensitization campaign in an effort to combat the spread of the disease.
This is a disease that is caused by a water mold, but generally it attacks other crops such as millet and sugarcane, but as of now it has attacked maize.
Can you give us a picture of how huge is the problem so far?
The total area for Blantyre ADD, that is 7,361.5 hectares, belonging to 29,750 farm families has been affected. And so far, 1,905.5 hectares has been uprooted. For Machinga ADD, specifically Zomba district, is yet to submit the area affected, and assessment is still going on. As of now, farmers are advised to uproot and bury infected plants as soon as they are seen. But also we are advising the farmers to plant certified seeds from recommended suppliers, and also to use recommended plant population for good air circulation.
You're watching MBC News and you are with me, Evelis Chingambe. A reminder of our top stories. Heavy rains cut off M1 road between Charoloma and Nkhani in Kasungu, making the stretch impassable for motorists. Downy mildew disease hits parts of Blantyre and Machinga districts' maize fields. And Malawi registers 2 new confirmed mpox cases despite a recent vaccination campaign. Welcome back. Malawi has reported 2 new confirmed mpox cases. The cases were reported at Baira Hospital on December 23rd and 26th of this month. The new infections come several months after Malawi registered its first mpox case on April 17, 2025. And despite response measures that include the administration of mpox vaccines targeting vulnerable groups by the Ministry of Health and Sanitation. Government is engaging the Reserve Bank of Malawi and the Ministry of Finance to secure more forex for independent power producers (IPPs) to improve and expand their operations. Minister of Natural Resources, Energy and Mining, Jean Matanga, says the move will help the country generate enough electricity, thereby mitigating the negative impact of frequent blackouts. Austin Kashbea reports.
Independent power producers have been struggling to generate electricity due to scarcity of forex that limited the expansion of their power grid. To counter this challenge, the Ministry of Natural Resources, Energy and Mining is engaging the central bank to make forex available to the IPPs. The minister responsible, Jean Matanga, said that the provision of forex will help IPPs import equipment, pay for services, and manage costs for projects.
Their government is here to make sure that the allocation of forex is given the utmost attention. I've been engaging with the Minister of Finance, and he has assured me that where forex allocation to our industry, to energy generation is concerned, is going to be prioritized, because we wouldn't want to go back on our promises to the nation. Because as the DPP government, we have promised that we'll make sure that we upscale the industry in the country. So for industry to thrive, there has to be an enabler, and the enabler is energy. So government is giving the utmost importance to this industry, so that we don't go back on our course.
One of the IPPs expressed delight with government's intervention on the matter. Bridget Joseph is the general manager for Mulanje Hydro Limited.
We are faced with forex issues. Forex availability has been an issue. We are also faced with the grid instability. We see the issue of environmental degradation in terms of deforestation, causing insulation into our pen stock. So we are hoping that with this meeting, we'll have some good and collaborative efforts to mitigate this issue.
Independent power producers contribute about 100 to 110 megawatts to Malawi's power grid. Austin Kashpeya, MBC News.
Back to our top story, Malawi continues registering mpox cases despite a recent vaccination campaign with 2 new confirmed infections, bringing the country's total number of laboratory confirmed cases to 146, according to the Public Health Institute of Malawi, FIM. In an mpox sport report published today, FIM said the latest cases were confirmed yesterday and involve a 43-year-old man and a 14-year-old boy, both from Lilongwe district. The cases were reported at Waida Hospital on December 23 and 26 of this month. The new infections come several months after Malawi registered its first mpox case on April 17 this year, and despite response measures that include the administration of mpox vaccines targeting vulnerable groups by the Ministry of Health and Sanitation. Faith leaders and believers have been advised to invest in acquiring new knowledge to make impactful change in their communities. Chancellor of the International School of Seers, Prophet Shepherd Bushiri, made the call in Lilongwe during a graduation of over 200 students from 72 countries in theology, leadership, business and innovation. Details with Beatrice Mape.
After 2 years of intense training, resilience and dedication, it is time for the students to celebrate and enjoy the fruits of their toil. One by one, the students received their diplomas in theology with a focus on leadership, business and innovation. Speaking during the ceremony, Chancellor of the school, Prophet Shepherd Bushiri, says their target is to build qualified faith leaders who can contribute meaningfully in the changing world. Bushiri says it is crucial for faith leaders to understand that prayer without knowledge becomes potential without direction. Prophet Bushiri says with the training, the world will demand results, and it is important for the faith leaders to ensure they build, lead, and change history. He has since challenged the graduates to be innovative leaders who carry revelation and strategy, as the diplomas are not only spiritually, but also academically and professionally recognized.
What we're trying to do here is to raise our leaders and to train our people that they should always remember that prayer alone is not enough. In the 2 Peter chapter 5 from verse 5 to 8, it says to your faith you must add skill. In other versions says virtue, and to that skill add knowledge. And that's the most important thing that we're trying to do. And this should be what must be done in all communities. We should not just raise people who believe in God, but they should also believe that God himself wants us to be skilled and also want us to be professional.
One of the prominent figures at the graduation was His Majesty Chris Nkwanyana of KwaZulu-Natal in South Africa, who also graduated with a diploma. He has since stressed the need for leaders to upgrade as the world and economies continue to change.
If you look at the economy, it's not balanced. We need to balance the imbalances of the past by arming ourselves educationally. The community at large, not only the youth, because there are a lot of opportunities.
Speaking on behalf of the graduates, Joanne Stabingis has applauded the leadership of ISOS for imparting the knowledge. Stabingis says the training is a foundation of their ability to bring change through their impactful service.
It's just not about theology. We learned about business. We learned about leadership. It's things that really will help you go out and change your world, your community, your family, and whatever sphere of influence you are, even in business.
The International School of Seers offers prophetic and spiritual training programs with a focus on developing spiritual gifts, prophecy, and leadership for ministers and leaders, among others, and it was established in 2014. Beatrice Mwabe, MPC News, Lilongwe.
And now a relook at our top story. Heavy rains have cut off M1 road between Chadoloma and Kamenya in Kasungu, making the stretch impassable for motorists. The development has been confirmed by police spokesperson for Central East Region, Estankwana, and communications specialist for contractors motor angel, Thomas Chafunya. Latest reports indicate 2 bridges have been washed away at Mpasazi near Chadoloma and Nkamenya Bridge near the trading center. The police are therefore warning the public to take precautionary measures to avoid accidents along this route. Meanwhile, Motor Angel in a statement says they have mobilized personnel to the site at Mpasazi to create an alternative route for motorists stranded on either sides. There are also reports indicating that Kaombe River in Kotakota has swelled temporarily, closing the M5 road.
As of now, as of today, we have received flood alerts from 3 DAs, that is PA Kalimanjira, PA Kanyenda, and PA Malingajanzi. The situation in PA Kanyenda, as of yesterday, we only had one area with Kakubu in Dwangwa that was flooded, but as of today, the whole trading center of Dwangwa has also been flooded. So yeah, that's the situation right now.
Okay. So maybe do you have the clear picture, like how many people or households have been affected so far, and which areas are the most impacted?
So the assessment in terms of number of households affected, the extent of damage has been established. So the flood had just happened early this morning. So as it is right now, several road networks have been cut. So we're trying to arrange and see how we can go about it to report the affected and establish the number of affected families and the extent of damage. Okay, in terms of the number of affected households, we have not yet established that because that has just happened this morning. So because of the challenge in terms of road networks, people have been cut in. So we are trying to arrange and see how we are going to reach the affected area. The most affected part as of now, as of this moment, the Dwangwa trading and the rescue team are also ready, and I'm talking to you right now, they are ready. Now we are trying to figure out how to access the areas because most of these areas they are not cut off. The river is also on their way from Lilongwe. Dodma has sent us the relief items. They'll be here in the district by lunch. Okay, we are still experiencing heavy rainfall. Therefore, the risk of flooding is still there. So we still urge the community to evacuate.
Lack of access to financing has led to slow growth of cooperatives in the country, and government has pledged to support them establish their own bank so long as they have the requisite finance. Secretary for Industrialization, Trade and Tourism, Wiskes Nkombezi, said this during the commemoration of United Nations International Year of Cooperatives. The event was organized by the Malawi Federation of Cooperatives, and Isaac Jali has a report.
Through access to finance for business, agriculture inputs and fees, while at the same time ensuring financial inclusion by empowering long-time marginalized groups such as women and people with disability to be economically self-reliant. At the commemoration of International Year of Cooperatives, Executive Director for the Malawi Federation of Cooperatives, Mafeco, John Nkosi, said for lacking access to financing, some cooperatives are experiencing sluggish growth to make any meaningful impact. He cited prohibitive lending conditions by banks as a key factor and prayed for a standalone bank to finance cooperatives' activities.
Why we are advocating for a cooperative bank, we are aware that sometimes development partners as well as government do have funds that are deposited with various commercial banks to enable that various SMEs and cooperatives should access. But you find that the conditions that these banks come up with, they impinge, they make cooperatives not able to access these funds. Hence the need that we should have our own bank, because we feel it will be, if we own it, we'll be able to regulate it and control it. We'll own it, regulate it and control it. So it will deliver services that are desired within the cooperative movement.
So what should government do?
We are looking at if government was able to come up with seed money, an approach where we would have maybe 60% coming from government and 40% coming from the cooperative movement. And then as the period, on agreed period, government should be shedding off those shares with passage of time, so that at the end of maybe 5-10 years, that bank should be wholly owned by the cooperative movement.
Wiske Sinkombezi, Secretary for Industrialization, Trade and Tourism, said government acknowledges the role cooperatives play in socio-economic development of the country. Hence, it is ready to facilitate establishment of such a bank, the first of its kind in Malawi.
Government is also committed to creating a bank for cooperatives, but that should be done together with the cooperative movement themselves. You know, the principle behind cooperatives is that cooperatives themselves must have ownership in that bank. So government can initiate the process, but we should have shareholding from the cooperatives themselves. So we need to sit down, us and the cooperative movement, and map a way forward in terms of how can we create this institution. It must be a sustainable institution, and therefore ownership is a very crucial matter when we talk about establishing that bank. So we will look into that. We will work with the Ministry of Finance, but more crucial are the cooperatives themselves. We have agricultural cooperatives, we have financial cooperatives. If you look at the cooperatives landscape in Malawi, you will see that in terms of finances, the financial cooperatives are stronger than the non-financial cooperatives. But a cooperative bank must serve all. So how do we make sure that we have strong agricultural cooperatives, strong housing cooperatives, strong mining cooperatives, so that this bank will embrace all the cooperatives? And when we talk about ownership in that kind of bank, it should come from all subsectors of the cooperative movement.
The International Year of Cooperatives was proclaimed by the United Nations to, among other things, highlight the role of cooperatives in sustainable development and poverty alleviation. Isaac Jali, MBC, Lilongwe.
And that's it from our newsroom this afternoon. A recap of our top stories before we leave. Heavy rains cut off M1 road between Charoloma and Nkhani in Kasungu, making the stretch impassable for motorists. Downy mildew disease hits parts of Blantyre and Machinga districts' maize fields. And Malawi registers 2 new confirmed mpox cases despite a recent vaccination campaign. For more updates, visit our digital platforms by scanning the QR code at the top right corner of your TV screen, or subscribe to our SMS service by dialing *364#. You've been with me, Evelis Jingambe. Thanks for watching and bye for now.